Brian Cox has recently spoken out about a stunning revelation. Something vast, artificial, and hidden has been lurking behind the moon for decades. It wasn't some glitch or mistaken reading. NASA's own live stream accidentally captured the evidence, and scientists quickly noticed that the structure followed complex mathematical patterns, including the Fibonacci spiral and a layout of prime numbers. It was as though someone or something had carved a message into the moon itself. The implications spread rapidly. Behind closed doors, even military groups began preparing emergency response plans. But the real shock wasn't just in the discovery. It was in what happened next. Whatever had been behind the moon was no longer there. It had vanished, silently slipping into the stars. NASA's intention with its latest live moon feed was routine, just another calibration session. But what the James Webb Space Telescope picked up was far from ordinary. Using its mid-infrared imaging capabilities, Webb detected a massive angular formation hidden in total darkness. This structure radiated a heat signature that defied known physical laws. Experts at both NASA and the European Space Agency verified it almost instantly. The formation spanned somewhere between 2 and 4 miles and was etched with unnaturally straight lines and sharp geometric angles, shapes that no natural process on the moon could account for. As researchers dug deeper into the data, the mystery only deepened. The object behind the moon wasn't just strange, it was deeply unsettling. Dr. Elena Martinez from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center employed dual parallax methods to confirm the dimensions, and what she found sent chills down her spine. The materials appeared to absorb and store heat in a way that didn't match anything known to exist on the moon. Not lunar regolith, not rock, not ice. Even radar data from older missions like Clementine and the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter had shown unexplained anomalies in that same area, though no one had understood what they were looking at. Until now, the far side of the moon, long considered dead and featureless, had just rewritten our understanding of lunar history. Once the images reached NASA's secure networks, the response was immediate and chaotic. Engineers scoured the data for any possible error in the hardware or image processing. They found none. The feed was clean. The structure was real. Brian Cox, known for his calm, rational approach to astrophysics, had been quietly following the situation. When he finally spoke up, his words carried weight. He didn't mince them. This changes everything. Online communities exploded with speculation, and media outlets rushed to find answers. The question was impossible to ignore. How could something this massive have remained hidden for so long? Was it possible that earlier missions had seen it and simply never told the world? Webb's sensors had picked up a level of thermal radiation that couldn't be explained by any natural process. There were no signs of erosion, impact, or crater formation. The structure's perfect symmetry and artificial contours told a different story, one of construction, not coincidence. Theories emerged by the hour. Some claimed it was a buried mass of exotic metals, finally revealed after seismic shifts in the moon's crust. Others proposed a forgotten relic from an ancient lunar civilization, perhaps even one predating humanity. The most provocative explanations pointed to something extraterrestrial, a structure intentionally hidden from Earth's view for millennia, and only now brought into the light by a fluke of modern technology. But the fear among the scientific community wasn't only about what the structure was, it was about what it meant. The moon is the second most studied celestial body after Earth. We've mapped it, walked on it, and scanned it with radar, laser altimetry, and every imaging method available. The idea that something so massive had gone undetected until now was staggering. Webb hadn't even been meant to study the moon. It was simply using the lunar surface to calibrate its infrared sensors. The discovery was a total accident. An anomaly that shattered expectations. More disturbing still was the heat signature. The structure emitted thermal energy even during the frigid lunar night. Natural formations don't do that. When scientists cross-referenced old Soviet mission data, they found subtle clues pointing to this same anomaly. Luna 19 had picked up a mysterious thermal distortion at these coordinates back in the 1970s. At the time, it was dismissed as a sensor error, In hindsight, it was the earliest clue that something very real was out there. This was no coincidence. According to Brian Cox, if the structure was built, not formed, then everything we thought we knew about our cosmic neighborhood was wrong. We were no longer alone, not even on the moon. As the community tried to make sense of it, the scientific world split into two camps. Some clung to conventional models, desperate to explain the formation with known physics. Others were ready to venture into the unknown. The idea of an ancient alien megastructure wasn't just a sci-fi trope anymore. It was a possibility under serious consideration. The object's symmetry, precision, and heat profile pointed clearly to intelligent design. Another theory gained traction too, one grounded in human history. Could this be the result of a secret Cold War operation? Declassified documents from the U.S. military revealed Project Horizon, a plan to build bases on the moon as early as the 1960s. Perhaps one of these missions had succeeded, and the far side of the moon, always hidden from Earth, became a haven for covert construction. Critics dismissed this, citing the logistical impossibility, but proponents reminded them, governments have hidden far stranger things at far greater cost. Meanwhile, amateur researchers dug up more Soviet data and found a recurring anomaly, an unexplained thermal reading in 1974 from the same location. Soviet engineers had ignored it. Now it looked like the earliest digital fingerprint of a hidden presence. Then came a third, far more radical theory. Some physicists speculated that what Webb had captured wasn't a structure in our dimension at all. It could be a shadow from another one. According to certain models in quantum physics and string theory, gravitational lenses like the moon could briefly expose structures from parallel dimensions. Nobel laureate Dr. Nadine Zhou had long theorized that ultra-high-energy cosmic rays could cause microfractures between dimensional membranes, what we call branes. The evidence wouldn't look like a portal, but like strange thermal patterns and impossible shapes, exactly what Webb had found. Cox, after analyzing the data himself, issued a warning. This could represent the greatest shift in scientific understanding in modern history. If it was artificial, then someone else had been here long before us. If it was natural, then nature is hiding forces and materials we don't yet comprehend. But the story didn't end there. As researchers enhanced the thermal imaging data, they began to notice something else, a pattern. The heat distribution across the structure wasn't random. It formed a spiral. But not just any spiral, the Fibonacci spiral, a sequence that underlies natural structures from seashells to galaxies. Lattice points across the structure aligned with prime numbers. The mathematical precision was astonishing. Statistical analysis suggested the chances of both the Fibonacci sequence and prime number alignment occurring naturally were virtually zero. The odds were estimated at less than 1 in a septillion. This was no accident. It was a message, an embedded code. Professor Amina Patel at MIT began treating the formation as a cryptographic cipher. Her team used matrix algebra and entropy modeling to break down the thermal data. Patel explained that if you wanted to send a message across time, culture, or even biology, you'd use math. Primes and Fibonacci numbers are universal constants. That made this structure a form of communication, and it was designed to evolve. The code within the spiral wasn't just a flat image. It was recursive, layered, like a fractal that revealed more the deeper you looked. Some researchers believed it might even be a kind of cosmic archive, an interstellar library or beacon left behind for anyone advanced enough to find it. Then something even more disturbing emerged. Among the thermal echoes were repeating pulses, tiny fluctuations that followed a rhythm, not noise, not random, a beat, a ticking. And early models suggested that this wasn't some distant countdown set to unfold over centuries. It was already ticking, and fast. Brian Cox urged caution, but he acknowledged the implications. The design implied intention, intelligence, planning. Someone had encoded the language of the universe into lunar stone, and now we had triggered it. Archived data revealed further anomalies, gravitational distortions in the region, strange radio echoes, and finally something new. Webb detected a second structure about 1,000 feet away. Smaller, cooler, but clearly related. Possibly a node. Possibly an access point. Then came the event that shifted everything. Webb, during a routine calibration, recorded an object lifting off from the site, a fast-moving heat signature rising from the moon, curving into space. It wasn't a satellite, it wasn't debris, it was controlled. It moved with intent. No country had announced a launch. No spacecraft matched its trajectory. It simply rose from the moon and vanished into the void. Whatever had been sleeping on the far side of the moon had just woken up. In the weeks that followed, the moon no longer looked like a lifeless satellite. It felt more like a sealed vault, one that had just been opened. What had we disturbed? What had we triggered?